As part of our interest in preserving the culture and history surrounding Route 66, we had the opportunity to chat with a true success story of the migration of Dust Bowl families along the famous highway. As a child, Chester Smith lived the story of the Grapes of Wrath as he and his family made the move from Oklahoma to California. He and his wife Ann recently sat down with us for a look back at the migration and his new life in California. Here's a little of what he had to say about his trip.
I was born on Red River, just on the Oklahoma side, and my dad was a farmer. They farmed a considerable amount of land there, bottomland, and so they grew all kinds of row crops. But when the drought came and the Dust Bowl came, they not only had that problem, but they also had the problem with overflows from the river. And so eventually 4 bad years, just broke my dad's health and forced us to leave Oklahoma. And we came to California with that migration. We started in 1935, we stopped off in Glendale, Arizona and picked cotton. And then we continued on and ended up in Fresno, 1936. And I was 6 years old. I had a birthday along the way.
Some song lyrics from his new CD tell his story pretty well.
Beautiful wife, Ann Leslie. And she's quite a writer. She's a prolific writer, a great writer. And she's had an illustrious background. So Ann wrote a song. In fact, she's written several songs. But one of the songs we have in this CD is called The Ballad of Chester Smith. It tells the whole story. Dust Bowl boy from the depths of Oklahoma, dropped out of school with no diploma, made my way making music on my guitar, lone still voice that's long since forgotten, had a choice. I could pick strings or pick cotton. In the days of Hank and Lefty, some folks call me a country star.
At a very young age, he started earning his living by playing music and moved on to greater and greater success.
At 16, I got on the radio and get paid. So from that day to this, I've never had a salary. I've always worked for myself. And just got a percentage of what we took in the dance halls. I worked in the dance halls with the Maddox Weather and Rose and with all these artists. You name it. It was Hank Williams Sr. and Lefty Frizzell. I worked with Lefty many times, and I worked with Hank Snow and Carl Smith and Ernest Tubb, Johnny Cash, and the list goes on and on.
With his strong instinct for business, Chester started producing shows and moving the music business forward in California.
I gave other artists work. In those days it was hard to find jobs. So here on the West Coast, that was before Bakersfield Sound started. Because I don't know if you knew it, but when we talked about that earlier this morning, the Bakersfield Sound really started right here in Modesto. And what I mean by that is the Maddox Brothers and Rose were here, and I was here, and we were on KTRB, which was a powerful radio station.
Wow.
It was a counterpart of WSM in Nashville. So the Grand Ole Opry artists would work there, and they'd come out here on the West Coast and work at KXLA, and appear on KXLA in Southern California, and on KTRB with me in Northern California. So we had a circuit going. And I had set that up, starting, just a performer myself, and then becoming a disc jockey, and then taking it on from there.
After a while, Chester stepped out of the spotlight and moved behind the scenes. He then went on to own radio and television stations throughout California and was one of the founders of the Spanish-language network Univision. Chester enjoyed all of this success without the benefit of much formal education, and he offers up some advice to today's students and about life in general.
I think some of the education we have today is more brainwashing than it is education. Got to be careful. If I were a young person, I would be careful about what I accept from some of the professors. I learned a valuable lesson because that garage was always crowded, that people would try very hard to get those parking spaces on the first, few floors. But at the top, on the top floor, there was very little competition for a parking place. That's the way it is in life. Most people don't aspire to walk the stairs and go to the top.
Well, they say that people believe that there's no room at the top. No, there's room at the top. There's no room at the bottom, because everybody's at the bottom, thinking there's no room at the top.
We thank Chester and Ann for graciously sharing their time with us. You can read more of our interview in Route 66 magazine and find out more about Chester's inspiring story and his recordings at chestersmith.com.